I'm Mattia from Z Prime Capital. We're a venture capital crypto investment firm, and now finally a investment fund as well. So shout out to Peter Howitt, who's probably not here, but it's good because he said that he'd be heckling because it's going to be too abstract. So yeah, but when I was invited here, I was thinking about what I can speak about, and I thought, let's do something more. I don't want to say provocative, but let's say stimulating, given that the most presentations are done by the lawyers. So this should be a contrast. And we're also known in the industry as someone who has like playful thesis. So here goes. So I would like to compare two moments in history. It's not a perfect analogy, but it could help us to sort of set the stage, the context for the presentation. So consider the two. So the rebirth of the Republic and the GameStop affair. So if you're not familiar, a bunch of internet trolls organize a short squeeze on institutional investors. So that's the GameStop. So what happened in Bastille really was a symbolic attack on an order that was long overdue, and it took then nearly 120 years for the old order of monarchy in Europe to be dismantled, and it wasn't smooth. And the GameStop affair is, a bunch of normies fighting the Wall Street, the establishment, if you will. So it also sort of represents this, rebellion against the world order that I think just, might be long overdue. So that's the underlying message of this presentation: the new versus the old, the what was and what could be, and how things change. So it's super idiosyncratic thesis. So first we need to get a couple of things out of the way. So there are some keywords that I'll be referring to that we need to understand, so to be aligned and to be on the same page, basically. And after defining these keywords, we can formulate the hypothesis. So baby boomers are a generation, but boomer has now a totally different meaning. Boomers have transcended a generation and are now a world order, if you will. So this is how I define this for the purpose of this presentation. And it's this is not set in stone. It's there are other subtle clues, like cues, like you might be reading New York Times, so that might put you on a spectrum, or if you're a lawyer, it's a very fluid concept. But you might have heard of the OK Boomer meme, which is it's a meme signifying how out of touch some of the older generation is with the innovation and younger generations. So for you to better grasp this world order I'm talking about, if you're into politics, it's all the way from opening China, the petrodollar, the PC culture, the war on drugs, the tear down that wall, to war on drugs, war on terror, Dodd-Frank, and all the way to the stimulus check. So that's the boomer era right there, and that's basically the last 50 years, right? And this is the 50 years in which we have abandoned the technological pursuit and the grand vision of the future, and we have pivoted towards regulation, political negotiations, and globalism. So Peter Thiel has this description that one day we landed on the moon, and the next day Woodstock happened, and this is the symbolic ascent of boomers to power, and this is how the order was established. So a couple more cheerful definitions that we need to go through, basically just describing the evolution of the web. So Web 1, I have Chris Dixon there helping me frame this. So Web 1 was mostly read-only, basic messaging functionality, but three key sort of concepts that we need to keep in mind with Web 1: open protocols, decentralized, and community governed. It wasn't commercialized. Then Web 2. So this is when the broadband came and the mobile internet took off, and it did not take like 2 hours to download a video or half an hour to download an MP3. And this was a revolution in communication, you know, the social media, so on. Newsfeed has emerged, and we can see the old newsfeed right here. And this is when the monetization, the commercialization of the web took off. And now we're moving to, we're supposedly here. So this is the Web 3, right? We're told that this is where we're here right now. And the Web 3 is combining the open and decentralized nature of Web 1, you know, the community ethos, with the monetization, functionality, and business models of Web 2. So Web 3 is still much more a buzzword, just like AI, and it means many things, and it also means nothing. And my goal here is to help define what it is and what it could be, or present a more narrow version of what it could be and its potential impact. So Web 3 is something that we're trying to build right now. So now, after we defined the definitions, that told us a story along the way. Now we can formulate the hypothesis, which is that the Web 3 means or represents a very potent socio-economic phenomena, almost a resistance against the boomer status quo. And you might ask why I think that, and I think it's important to know that it combines the decentralized communication of Web 2 with permissionless money. And the technology now enables to form a different kinds of institutions, or new types of institutions. And these will inevitably clash with the old institutions. And something that we often forget is that institutions are enabled by the technology and dismantled by the technology. A great example of that is the invention of printing press, where thereby the Catholic Church lost the monopoly on truth. And also institutions and politics adapt to technology and not vice versa. So, Web 1 discovered the web, Web 2 populated the web, and now Web 3 will partition the web. To better sort of explain the hypothesis, let's do like an analysis or a comparison of Web 2 and Web 3, because the Web 2 concepts we might be familiar with, but Web 3 is pretty abstract. So on the surface, there are startups who are the hallmark of the Web 2 era. Tokens seem to be replacing startups in the Web 3, and they're becoming a competition to equity in a startup. So the arena has changed as well. The arena for Web 2 was newsfeed, social media. The arena today is the market. Where do transactions happen? They happen on chain. The chain is the market. So you still come to Twitter but you come only to brag about your gains, right? You talk about what you bought, what you've sold. You talk about what's your high score or what your score is. So whereas the newsfeed of Web 2 was 24/7 global mini talent show with the people you've met or you've never met, the crypto networks of the Web 3 are a 24/7 quest for generational wealth. The followers, the likes, they don't matter as much as the token balance that you have. So when you think about this from the neurochemistry point of view, Web 2 was a dopamine trap centered around information or media, and Web 3 is a dopamine trap of gambling. So first we gamify media, now we're gamifying finance. And what we see here is that Twitter, Facebook, social media has been built on, or they built a closed-sourced, globalized and centralized social graph that is full of digital noise. And Web3 will allow tribes to succeed from this globalized social graph. And they will connect through private chat rooms. For now we have Discords and Telegrams. They also connect publicly on Twitter and Reddit. GameStop is an example of that, but that's suboptimal. But they also connect through an open source financial networks, which is a financial graph. So when we're coming back, we can see that, coming back to the previous slide with a couple of things highlighted there. So we can see that the relationship between money and the internet is changing. So in Web 2, money has been made on the internet. In Web 1, no one believed that money could be made on the internet. Web 2, money has been made on the internet. And Web 3, money is created on the internet. So we're printing magic internet money. That's what's happening. So Web 2 centralized services were extracting value by mostly monetizing data. But Web 3 is creating new forms of money that are embedded directly into these permissionless networks. So the users are the creators, the sales team, the owners, the operators, and the customer. So yeah, when we're talking about tribes, I mean, turning speculation into users is, or in other words, come for the money, stay for the tribe. And that's in contrast to Web 2's motto that was come for the tool and stay for the network. So they're two different user acquisition strategies. And as a result, in Web 3 we have these emerging micro economies, de facto online anons running their online permissionless banks, and their interest is aligned by the token. So this is Web 3 to me. It is new tribal economies in the cloud, the token being a social contract, a bit laissez-faire, but it'll do for now. So these are the new institutions that we're building. Yeah, to summarize, the Web 2 was decentralization of communication. Granted, it was permissioned, or it was decentralized, but it wasn't permissionless. But Web 3 added permissionless finance. So if Web 2 was about homogenization or globalization or uniformity, so putting everyone into this giant chat room full of noise, Web 3 will be about secession of various communities, as they have means now to do more than just chat. And we can call them tribes, we can call them squads, you can call them anything you want. So it's always easy to be dismissive about the new things and the challengers. And things may sound outrageous at times. This may sound outrageous to you. But things change, right? And sometimes they change very quickly. And we don't even have to be aware of the change while it's happening, because change is usually apparent only in the retrospect. So I would encourage you to listen to outrageous ideas, because sometimes the most outrageous ideas are the winning ones. So thank you for listening to my outrageous idea.